Hi, welcome to Marvelous Mysteries, the podcast. I'm Rebecca.
And I'm Jaden.
And we're going to do some icebreakers and then read some mysterious topics to you guys this week, as normal. So I don't know, I didn't read these. Okay, so these are, there's only like two, really. But the first one is, what was your favorite subject in school? Like in high school or whatever.
Probably art. That counts. Unless you mean like an actual subject, in that case, English.
That's an actual subject, I would say. But, okay, English. Mine changed literally depending on my teacher or depending on the circumstances. So, like, my freshman year, it was English. My sophomore year, I don't know. I think it was biology. Then, like, my junior year, I don't know if I liked anything. I probably liked, like, human physiology or, like, something like an elective. Then my senior year was, like, AP Calculus.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it was kind of the same for me because it was, like, just usually an English course of some sort.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, I mean, my junior and senior year, I had this one creative writing teacher, and she was, like, the best person ever.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I really liked her classes, and, like, junior year, I had, like, a really good math teacher, so I always liked math.
Mm-hmm.
Which usually I didn't like math, you know?
Yeah, usually I didn't either, but I really didn't like it and didn't feel like I was good at it until I took AP Calculus. Even though I took all honors math, I was like, I'm bad at math because I was like,
it's touching me.
because I felt like I was like, because I would get a B or something in math or like, I don't know. But then I was like, I actually think I'm good at math. And then my mom was like, yeah, you're in all honors classes and you've gotten like at least an A- or B in all of them. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh yeah, I forget B is like a good grade and C is like average or whatever. So, yeah. So it's kind of strange, but I liked my favorite thing it depends. Like I have different things I like to learn about. I know I always like touch it. I like my foot to like wrap around stuff when I cross my feet. And it's like just the mic stand is here. So I always touch it. I think my favorite thing to learn about is like biology or human physiology and stuff like that. I really liked those classes, but I also really enjoyed like book discussion, like book analysis and discussions of books, and I always liked reading. So I think I used to like writing papers until they got like much harder, and then I didn't have to write any papers my senior year because I didn't take an English class. So, or I took 1/2 semester or whatever. I don't know. I didn't take like a full year of it because it wasn't required. What was your least favorite subject in school?
I guess, again, it kind of depended on the teacher that I had. Mm-hmm. But I'd probably say, like, any science class. Because I enjoyed it my sophomore year, I think.
Is that biology?
Yeah, because I liked the teacher that I had a lot. Mm-hmm. And so, like, he actually made it really enjoyable. But, other than that, I don't know. Like, I'm not good at them. Maybe that's why I don't like it. Because it's so hard for me to, like, understand that subject for some reason. Because I've always wanted to be good at it, but for some reason, it's just never really clicked. So I guess
I was decent at it. I mean, I got all A's in every science class except for physics, and I took like, it wasn't AP physics, but it was like college prep because AP physics is 2 years or something. I hated physics. It's like, and it was the same math I was doing in calculus, but it just made no sense to me for some reason. I hate physics still. I never want to take physics again. Like, I don't know. I also never liked doing experiments in science class, which is strange. We didn't do a lot, but I never liked doing them. I just was like, just tell me the information. Like, especially physics. Like, I did not like building the cars or like, I hated, like, I don't know if you took like a physics or doing the, like.
I took chem.
I took it too, but like, did you do, like, did you ever do the, like, what's it called? Where you like have a little square and you put wires in it. It's like the electric field thing. That was so difficult for me to understand. Someone just like helped me like a lot, and I probably failed the test. But he curved the exam because the quizzes were so hard. He took like the square root of the percentage, so that was the curve. So it's a pretty good one, but I hate physics. I still do.
Yeah, like I said, I didn't have to take physics because it was either like we take that or chem.
I think that was it for us too.
And I took chem, but I took it online, so I had to teach myself chemistry, which was god-awful.
Yeah, that's horrible. I had kind of a weird teacher who left halfway through the year, which was just kind of sad. But she was, like, a lot of people didn't like her, but I liked her. Like, she was fine. Like, people were just like, oh, she's horrible or whatever. But she was, like,
I had a lot of teachers that people said like that too. Like they would say stuff like that about
it's
them
like
as well. But I loved them. Like they were some of my
also
favorite
like
teachers.
they just didn't like her because like she was not nice to them because they were horrible students. Like
Yeah,
they were
no,
mean to
yeah.
her. Then if you were nice to her and would ask her a question, she would be like really helpful. And like people were like, she's not good at chemistry. I'm like, she was like, she used to be like a chemical engineer or something, but she became a teacher to like have the time off with her kids
Yeah.
or something. And I was like, um, I liked her, but I don't know. I mean, she wasn't like like a
No, yeah,
super amazing, inspirational, whatever, but she was fine.
No, I had a math teacher like that when like in middle school maybe. Like a lot of kids didn't like her, but she kind of like just like one of the teachers that like if they like messed around, she'd be like stop. Like she wouldn't like play around kind of thing.
Yeah.
But like she was like one of the few math teachers that would like I like ask her questions, she would explain it. It would make perfect sense.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like I would have a lot of math teachers. A lot of times would be like I would like ask them a question and they would kind of just like rephrase what the problem said. I'm like doesn't really help me, and I'll be like okay, thank you, and then like just try to figure it out.
Yeah. I always have like even if I don't love a teacher, I always really try to give them the benefit of the doubt because my mom's a teacher and I know that it's like kind of a horrible job. Not a horrible job, but like it's like a really thankless job, and like to be a teacher, like you don't make a lot of money. Like people are horrible to you. Like a lot of times administration isn't even nice to you.
Mm-hmm.
Like you really like want to help kids. So I had a math teacher who like he would ask you, he's like, okay, do you understand what I'm talking about then? Like when he would explain it to you, he was like my favorite math teacher. And then I'd be like, I think so. He's like, okay, well maybe you should try it and then come back and ask me a question. Like he would like literally like make sure you understood, you know what I mean? Which was kind of nice because like I usually just will be like, okay, I still don't understand what you're talking about, but like he'd be like, okay, well, what part of this doesn't make sense, or what question would you ask? I'd be like, I don't know what question to ask. He'd be like, okay, let's go through this step. What does this make sense? This step, does this make sense? I'd be like, no, this doesn't make sense. He's like, what doesn't make sense? Like he would help you like.
Yeah, no, my favorite math teacher was like that too. He was just very like, I don't know, like yeah, he'd just do a very good job. Being like, hey, if you don't understand, it's like just let me know, kind of thing.
Yeah. Oh, and then the last one is like, what's your favorite podcast or ones you recommend?
I don't listen to that many actually. I used to listen to Jenna and Julian podcast, which I don't know if you've ever heard that, but they stopped, like they ended it. Mm-hmm. And now I listen to one that's called Sweet Boys.
Ooh.
It's not that.
No, I know. I like My Favorite Murder. There's like a couple that I've listened to that I like. It's like a season of one. Mm-hmm. So there's one, it's called Serial. It's about this lady. It's the first season of that she's done several others. She's an investigative journalist, and she did like, it's about this, I can't remember the kid's name, but in high school he was accused of killing his girlfriend and he went to jail for it, but there's just like not a lot of evidence like either way. Mm-hmm. And so she tries to figure out like whether he did it. Like she like, I don't know. And it shows like the phone calls with them, and it's pretty good. It was like interesting. It's like 8 episodes. Then another one I really liked was like there was one, it's like Dr. Death or something like that. I don't know. It's about this like neurosurgeon who like basically conned his way and like destroyed people's, like he would operate on them but do it so incorrectly that he like destroyed their backs and stuff. Oh. But like he was operating for years because it's like if another doctor accuses a doctor of doing something like that, it's like slander or something like that, and you can get sued for that. And so hospitals, like when no one did anything about it, they just like let it happen because it's like, because it's like against the law for them to like say like, hey, he's like actually hurting patients, he's harming them or whatever.
But like, why was he doing it?
Because he was just like crazy. Like he just thought he was doing it correctly or whatever. He like conned his way through medical school. He was like narcissistic and like,
that's weird,
like a psychopath, sociopath. I don't know exactly what the right thing is, but
I turned on Siri.
Yeah,
I was like, where'd that come from?
But that was really interesting. Made me freaked out about the doctors.
Oh my gosh.
And I like the like r/ podcast. That one's pretty like, it's just this guy, he just reads Reddit stuff. It's pretty funny. Like it's like he does like the r/ like entitled parents or entitled people or whatever. Then he also does like choosy beggars or what else. One I like is like there's a malicious compliance one. So it's like people like there will be certain like a lot of them are about a workplace. Like one, the guy like I don't know, he was supposed to be paid like a like set amount instead of hourly because then he's on call or something like that. And the manager's like, no, you're gonna be on like pay like on call. And he's like, okay, well, I'm a contractor, so like this is my hourly rate, and each time I have to warn him. And then he like billed him like thousands and thousands of dollars because like I don't know, stuff like that. It's just kind of funny because it's like people don't like listen, and so stuff like that. That's pretty good. I like a lot of podcasts. I listen to them a lot at work because we can just put our headphones in at my office and like do whatever. And music gets kind of like boring after a few days. And I can't read audiobooks while working because I'll get distracted for like a second with like
Yeah, do you ever do like
something
thing, like if you're listening to it and you're typing, you start typing out whatever?
sometimes yeah,
sometimes.
but I don't type that much. I just mostly do like other stuff. Like I don't like write my own words. It's mostly like me like copying and pasting.
Yeah, I don't really listen to that many podcasts.
I like them, but I like them when I run too. Cause I don't know, music's like, it's hard for me to find the exact music I want too. You know what I mean? So, or like work out. So it's almost more interesting. Then audiobooks, it's like hard for me because I could get distracted for 1 second. And then I just like miss like a whole chapter, it feels like. So, okay. Did I go first last time or did you? I think I did because I did that hotel, right?
Yeah, because
yours like matched mine.
Yeah.
Okay, so you go first this time. I had to figure out how to say mine because I forgot to.
I'm very sleepy. I also, again, decide to sing loudly in my car on the way here, so if my voice dies at some point, you know why. Okay, so mine's actually, it's not terribly long. I kept trying to look at, like, I was clicking on, like, all these different websites about it to try to, like, read the articles, but they didn't really have that much because there wasn't that much evidence or anything that really led to anything. Anyway, so mine's about the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum theft.
Okay.
So this happened on March 18th, 1990. 13 works of art were stolen from the museum in Boston in the early hours. Guards admitted 2 men posing as police officers responding to a disturbance call, and the thieves tied the guards up and looted the museum over the next hour. The FBI has valued the haul at $500 million, and no arrests have been made and no works have been discovered. The museum is like, and I think they're still offering this amount of money, but the museum's offering $10 million as a reward for any information leading to the art's recovery. Sorry, I stalled for a second. Anyway, so the works were originally procured by art collector Isabella Stewart Gardner. She passed away in 1924, and intended for a permanent display at the museum with the rest of their collection. Among them was the Concert, one of only 34 known paintings by Johannes Vermeer. Is that how you say the first name, maybe? And thought to be the most valuable unrecovered painting in the world. They also stole The Storm on the Sea of Galilee, Rembrandt's Only Seascape, other paintings and sketches by Rembrandt, Degas, Manet, and Flinck? I don't know. I'm not good with painter names. They're all kind of weird. Were also stolen, along with a relatively valueless eagle by Chinese Gu. Experts are puzzled by the choice of artwork since since more valuable works were left untouched. The collection and its layout are permanent, so the empty frames remain hanging both in homage to the missing works and as placeholders for the return.
Okay.
And the FBI believes that the robbery was planned by a criminal organization. In the case, like I said, there's not a lot of evidence or physical evidence. Like, it lacks a lot. The FBI has largely depended on interrogations, undercover informants, and sting operations to collect information. They have focused primarily on the Boston Mafia, which was in the midst of an internal gang war during the period. One theory is the gangster Bobby Donati organized it to negotiate for his capo's release from prison. Donati was murdered a year after the robbery. Other accounts suggest that the paintings were stolen by a gang in Dorchester, though they deny involvement even after a sting operation put some of them in prison. All have denied any knowledge or have given leads that were fruitless despite being offered reward money, reduced prison sentences, and even freedom if they gave information leading to the art recovery. So that's kind of the overall... I need water. That's the overall kind of summary of the entire thing. The next part is more about kind of like the lady who founded the museum and the museum itself. So museum Stewart Gardner, my stomach just growled, sorry. The museum that's named after her was constructed under the guidance of her to house her personal art collection. The museum opened to the public in 1903, and Gardner continued to expand the collection and arrange it until she died in 1924. She left the museum with $3.6 million endowment, and her will stipulated that the arrangement of the artwork should not be altered, and no items were to be sold or bought into the collection. By the 1980s, the museum was running low on funds. This financial strain left the museum in poor condition. It lacked a climate control system and an insurance policy and was in need of basic building maintenance. After the Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, if you didn't know that, uncovered a plot by Boston criminals to rob the museum in 1982, the museum allocated funds to improve security. Among these improvements were 60 infrared motion detectors and a closed-circuit television system consisting of 4 cameras placed among the building's perimeter. There were no cameras installed within, as the Board of Trustees thought installing such equipment in the historical building would be too expensive. More security guards were hired as well. But despite all these improvements, the only way police could be summoned to the art museum was with a button at the security desk. So the next part is about the robbery. So the robbery occurred in the early hours of Sunday, March 18th, 1990. The thieves were first witnessed around 12:30 a.m. by several St. Patrick Day revelers leaving a party near the museum. The 2 men were disguised as police officers and parked in a hatchback on Palace Road, about 100 feet from the side entrance. And so people thought they were policemen, like, didn't think anything of it, obviously. The museum guards on duty that night were Rick Abbott, age 23, and Randy Heston, age 25. Abbott was a regular night watchman, and the other guy was, that was like his first nighttime shift. The security policy maintained that one guard patrolled the galleries with a flashlight and a walkie-talkie while the other sat at the security desk. Abbott went on patrol first. During his patrol, fire alarms sounded in different rooms of the museum, but he could not locate any fire or smoke. Abbott returned to the security room where the fire alarm control panel indicated... sorry. Did I reread that? Oh, no. Okay, no, it's the same thing. Sorry. He returned to the security room where the fire alarm control panel indicated smoke in multiple rooms. He assumed some type of malfunction and shut down the panel. He then went back on control but completed his rounds. Made a quick stop at the side entrance of the museum. And briefly opened the door, shut it again. But he didn't tell the guy why he was opening doors and shutting them. But so Abbott completed his tour, returned to the security desk around 1 a.m., at which point Heston began his rounds. So then, at 1:20 a.m., the thieves drove up to the side entrance, parked, and walked up to the side door. They rang the buzzer, which connected them to Abbott through an intercom. And then they explained to him that they were police investigating a disturbance and needed to be buzzed in. He could see them on the closed-circuit television wearing what appeared to be real police uniforms. But he let the men in at 1:24. Sorry, I was reading what that part said. So the thieves were let into a locked foyer that separated the side door from the museum. They approached Abbott at his desk and asked if anyone else was in the museum to bring them down. So he radioed Heston, and so they both returned to the security desk. And around that time, Abbott noticed that the mustache on the taller man was fake, or appeared to be fake. The shorter man told Abbott that he looked familiar, that they may have a warrant for his arrest, and to come out from behind the desk and to provide identification. He complied, and stepped away from the button to alert the actual police. The shorter man forced Abbott against the wall, spread his legs, and handcuffed him. Abbott noticed he was not frisked, which means checked, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hestand walked into the room around this time, and the taller thief turned him around and handcuffed him. Once both guards were handcuffed, the thieves revealed their true intentions to rob the museum and asked the guards not to give them any problems. So they continued to wrap duct tape around their heads, eyes of the guards. And then, without asking for directions, they led the guards into the basement where they were handcuffed to a steam pipe and workbench. And they did examine their wallets of the guards, and told them that they knew where they lived and to not tell the authorities what happened or there'll be consequences. It took the thieves 11 minutes to subdue the guards, and by that time it was 11:35 a.m. So this, when they were stealing the works, this took, I think they said, 81 minutes was what took the entire robbery to steal all 13 pieces.
Oh, wow.
So the first room that they entered was the Dutch room on the second floor, which that wasn't recorded until 1:48 a.m. This was 13 minutes after they finished subduing the guards, perhaps waiting to make sure no police were alerted. So when the thieves approached the paintings in the Dutch room, a device began beeping that would normally trip when a patron was too close to the painting, and the thieves smashed it. And so this is where they took the Storm on the Sea of Galilee and the Lady and the Gentleman in Black. They threw them on the marble floor, which shattered their glass frames, and then they cut the canvases out of their stretchers. They also removed a large Rembrandt self-portrait oil painting from the wall, but left it leaning against a cabinet. And investigators think that maybe they considered to take the painting with them, but it was too large to transport, so they just left it behind. So instead, the thieves took a small postage-size stamp self-portrait. A small postage-stamp-sized self-portrait etching by Rembrandt on display beneath the larger portrait. And then they continued to take, I'm not going to go through all the paintings that they took, but you get the idea. They took all the other paintings. And then, before they left, they even checked on the guards one last time and asked if they were comfortable, which I feel like is kind of strange.
Okay.
Anyway, like I said, that only lasted 81 minutes. So the next shift of the guards arrived later in the morning and realized that something was wrong, and when they could not establish contact with anyone inside to be let in, so they called They called in a security director who, upon entering the building with his keys, found nobody at the watch desk and called the police. And so the police searched the building. That's when they found the guards tied in the basement. So, in 1990, the FBI estimated the value of the hall at $200 million and raised this estimate to $500 million by 2000. In the late 2000s, some art dealers suggested that the hall could be worth $6 million, and was considered to be the largest museum heist in terms of value until it was surpassed by the Dresden Green Vault burglary in 2019. Give me a moment. Get some water. My ice cube came with that. I'm choking on it. So the FBI took control of the case. Like I said, there was a lot of evidence. The thieves didn't leave behind any footprints or hair. It was inconclusive if the fingerprints left at the scene were from the thieves or museum employees. They did do some DNA analysis in the years following as advancements in the field grew. Some of the evidence has been lost among their files. The guards and witnesses in the street describe one thief as about 5'9" to 5'10", in his late 30s with medium build, and the other 6 foot to 6'1" in his early 30s with heavier build. So they did consider that maybe Abbott, the security guard, was part of the robbery because of his suspicious behavior on the night of the theft, when he was opening the side doors and shutting them. And they said that maybe that was a move which some could believe could have been a signal to the thieves parked outside. He told the authorities that he did this routinely to ensure that the door was locked. One of his colleagues told journalists that if Abbott had opened the door routinely as he maintains, I can't speak. Supervisors would have seen it on the computer printouts and put a stop to it. Like, my brain's moving my mouth is moving faster than my brain.
Yeah.
Because I'm reading it, so in my head I'm processing it, but I can't get it out fast enough. I'll slow down. I'll try. Where was I? Okay, more suspicion has been drawn from the museum's motion detectors, which did not detect any movement in the Blue Room during the 81 minutes that thieves were in the museum. The only footprints in the room that night were Abbeth's during his security patrol. A security consultant reviewed the motion detectors' equipment several weeks after the theft and determined they were operating correctly. Abbott maintained his innocence, and the FBI agent overseeing the case in its early years determined the guards were too incompetent and foolish to have pulled off the crime. It's a little rude.
Yeah.
In 2015, the FBI released a security video from the museum on the night before the theft, showing Abbott buzzing in an unidentified man into the museum to converse at the security desk. Abbott told investigators he could not recall the incident or recognize the man, and so the FBI requested the public assistance. Several former museum guards came forward and said that the stranger was Abbot's boss, the museum deputy security chief. Sorry, I'm trying to... There was a guy that was also suspected. He's a very powerful crime boss in Boston during the time.
Okay.
But I think they kind of just... Sorry, I was trying to read really quick. I think they kind of just... Nothing ever came to it, though, you know?
Mm-hmm.
In 1994, there was a letter sent to the museum. So in 1994, museum director Anne Hawley received an anonymous letter from someone who claimed to be attempting to negotiate return of the artwork. The writer explained that they were a third-party negotiator and did not know the identity of the thieves. They explained that the artwork that was stolen was reduced to a prison's... Wait. Sorry, okay, yeah. They explained that the artwork was stolen to reduce the prison sentence, but as the opportunity had passed, there was no longer a motive to keep the artwork, and they wanted to negotiate a return. The writer also explained that the artwork was being held in a non-common law country under climate-controlled conditions. They wanted immunity for themselves and the others involved, and $2.6 million for return of the artwork, which would be sent to an offshore bank account at the same time the art was handed over. And they said, like, if the museum was interested in negotiating, they should print a coded message in the Boston Globe to establish credence. The writer conveyed information only known by the museum and the FBI at the time. Hawley felt this was a strong lead, so she contacted the FBI, who then contacted the Globe, and they coded a message. A coded message was printed in May 1st, 1994. Hawley received a second letter a few days later, in which the writer acknowledged the museum was interested in negotiating, but had become fearful of what they perceived was a massive investigation by federal and state authorities to determine their identity. The writer explained that they needed time to evaluate their options, but Hawley never heard from the writer again. And there was a guy named Brian McDevitt, I think that's his name. He had attempted to rob a different museum at the time, or a different art piece from a different museum at the time, but he passed away in 2004, so that there was really nothing they could go on with that. I think before I had mentioned, like, the Boston Mafia, potentially, or, like, a guy from it, but they said that I think they said that some of it was kind of just merely speculation, and that the people that were involved, or that they thought might be involved in the theft, had died, or were killed. They did, and this is kind of like a wrap-up, I guess. So Boston authorities have arrested and charged 48-year-old Robert Vians, a resident of Randolph, Massachusetts, for smashing a glass door of the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum last weekend.
Oh, wow.
I guess I don't know when this article was written. I probably should have seen, because I don't know if... I think last week it might have been, like, a couple years ago.
Okay, I was like, wow, dang,
wow, last weekend. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that article was written a while ago. I copied and pasted it, like, the information or whatever, wrote it, so I didn't have the thing in. And there were some other attempted break-ins at the Notorious Museum around 4:30 a.m. on a Saturday morning at one point. And that suspect shattered a glass door on the Palace Road side of the building using objects and then throwing stuff. I don't know. It sounds like a lot of it was, like, they had nothing to go on. Like I said, like, a lot of the articles were very short and just, like, here's some pieces that were stolen. If you have information, contact, you know.
Yeah.
In 2019, a man suspected of being involved in the heist was released from prison for a separate robbery. But despite being offered a more lenient sentence if he copped to any information about the case, he denied any knowledge or involvement. There are 2 men believed by many to have orchestrated the daring heist, but both have died. The historic crime, which involved posing as police officers to infiltrate the museum and tying up security guards, remains unsolved to this day. So yeah.
Wow.
Here's my troubled speech about what it was about. But yeah, so the frames still are just hanging in the museum.
Okay.
They're just empty though.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
That was mine.
Wow. Amazing. Okay. Let me drink some water and I'll do mine. Oh, sorry. That was
My
loud.
voice is starting to die.
Okay. So I have, it's called, I don't know if I'm going to say this right because it's in like Celtic or something, but it's Amphere Lathmore, or the Big Gray Man. So, the Big Gray Man of Ben McDewey, or just the Gray Man, is the name of a creature who is said to haunt the summit passes of Ben McDewey. I don't know if I'm saying that right, I'm sorry. Which is the highest peak of the Cairngorms and the highest peak in Scotland. This is basically like Scotland's version of Bigfoot or the Yeti, whatever. What are those called? Like cryptozoology or whatever. Those who have described it say it's an extremely tall figure covered with short hair, or they've said that it's an unseen presence that causes uneasy feelings to those who climb the mountain. Other eyewitnesses describe it as a large humanoid standing over 10 feet tall, and having olive-toned skin with long arms and broad shoulders. Evidence of the existence of this gray man includes various sightings, a few photographs of unusual footprints, and that's like it. This is like, there's not really much evidence.
Yeah.
But nearly all of the reports of him include the sound of footprints crunching on the gravel, and like they hear it, but it's just like out of sight. So like this is what like the mountain up there looks like. So it's like really tall, so it's like blurry, or there's a lot of clouds up there, and it's like gravelly. Okay, so the first ever recorded sighting of the Gray Man was reported in 1891, but wasn't made public until 1925. In 1925, climber J. Norman Colley recounted the terrifying experience he had when he was up alone in the summit. He said, "I began to think I heard something else. Then the noise of my own footsteps. Every few steps I took, I heard a crunch, and then another crunch as if someone was walking after me, but taking steps 3 or 4 times the length of my own. He was unable to make out the source of these noises because there's a mist around it. Then he said, as the eerie crunch, crunch, crunch sounded behind me, I was seized with terror and took my heels, staggering blindly down the boulders for 4 or 5 miles. So he just like bolted out of the mountain, right down there. His account was reported to the local press and followed by a correspondence on the subject. Norman G. Forbes reported that he had heard a mysterious clanking noise while climbing, let's see if I can say this, Bragrake? Sorry. In a summit mist. It ended up being a deer. But he did note that those, like, the mountains do have an uncanny power of inducing a feeling of eeriness. The mind alone in a lonely place creates things of its imagination. So this guy's kind of like, yeah, like, I heard something up there, it's just a deer, but that mountain is, like, creepy up there. Mm-hmm. So, like, you feel, like, it's no wonder that you feel that way.
I would be so bad in that situation. I would just sprint. Even, like, I would, like, get up and be like, okay, I'm gonna go back down.
Bye. I read all that. Okay, sorry. I lost my place.
Okay.
Many climbers have reported a similar experience. Many describe an uncontrolled feeling of fear and panic. Some people see a huge gray figure behind them. Others only hear the sounds. In 1904, climber Hugh D. Welsh heard unexplained slurring footsteps near the summit of Ben Macdui. High? I don't know. I'm sorry. And he had a eerie feeling of apprehension. While in 1945, Peter Densham, a mountaineer and rescue worker, heard a crunching noise and was overcome by a feeling of apprehension. In 1948, Richard Freer, a climber, wrote about a sense of a presence utterly abstract but intensely real on the mountain and heard an intensely high singing note. So it seems
like that one video of the guy with the cowboy hat, the old man in the sky, that like just sings on the note.
I don't think I've seen that. Okay.
That's what I imagined.
Yeah, so it's just like everyone feeling these same feelings of intense uneasiness. I don't think anyone's necessarily even seen it. It's more like they feel the presence, or they maybe see the figure or feel the figure.
I don't like that.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
In 1958, an encounter was published in the Scouts magazine by naturalist and mountaineer Alexander Tweenan. In October 1943, I spent a 10-day leave climbing alone in the Cardigorms. One afternoon, I just reached the summit of Ben Macdui. Mist swirled around it. Swirled around the mountain. The atmosphere became dark and oppressive. A fierce, bitter wind whisked around the boulders. I typed this, so it's like all riddled with errors.
You type it as a riddle?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure it out. No. The mist was all around the boulders, and an odd sound echoed through the mist. This is like a quote from him. Mm-hmm. A loud footstep did seem, then another, a strange shape loomed up, receded, and then they came charging at me. Without hesitation, I whipped out a revolver and fired 3 times at the figure.
He just has a revolver on him?
Yeah, I mean, you're hiking in the mountains.
I guess so, but still.
It's 1943. When it still came on. I turned and hared down the path, reaching Glenderry in a time that I have never bettered. You may ask, what was really the fear, Lathmore? Frankly, I think it was. Oh, was it really the fear, Lathmore? Frankly, I think it was. So he ran down that mountain faster than he ever has before. So all the accounts are like this. There's not that much on this. Yeah. So sorry, but all of them are like, I saw this weird gray figure. It was a presence. It's this like super uneasy feeling. So the explanations. The first one is that illusions, hallucinations, and misinterpretations of natural stimulus. Big words. This is obviously my rating. No. Was brought on by exhaustion or just being alone up there. This is what psychologists have said. It's just like because you're up there all alone, you're hallucinating, you're really tired, or just you're just by yourself. The other explanation is infrasound, which I think I talked about before in another one when I did the incident at Dyatlov Pass.
Oh, maybe.
Which is it's that wind that's there's a certain way that the wind will blow and it makes some sort of sound or for the frequency or something it's at. I didn't look into it again, obviously, but it generates, causes feelings of uneasiness and intense anxiety, which would be connected to these paranormal sightings and of course the feeling of uneasiness that everyone feels when they're up there. And then the most interesting one is this optical illusion known as Brocken specters, which is a possible explanation for this. I have a picture of it. Basically, it's often referred to as mountain specter. It can occur in a certain atmospheric conditions when the sun is at a particular angle. So the person's shadow can be cast onto a cloudy bank around them, creating the illusion of a shadowy humanoid figure. So, like, that kind of.
Oh, yeah.
So, it, like, their shadow is projected onto the clouds in certain atmospheric conditions, and that's what people are seeing, this gray creature or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then another thing that was, people said that it could just be, like, a manifestation of the spirit of the place. So humans always transfer human characteristics to things around us. And, like you say, Mother Nature, or, like, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So another thing is, like, maybe there is some sort of gray man, but it's just a spirit of that mountain or whatever that people are, like, can feel or are projecting, whatever. So, yeah. Or it's just, there's a Bigfoot up there, which... The reason I did this is because I was like, should I do this or this or this to Isaac? And he was like, ooh, do that gray man or whatever, because he loves Bigfoot. He does. He loves Bigfoot. And he was saying, he's like, I mean, like, not that he believes in it, but, like, there could be some weird stuff up in the mountains that we don't know about. I mean, think about the ocean, for example.
Right.
Like, there's so much, like, creepy stuff down there that we don't know about.
Water dinosaurs.
Yeah. Or, like...
In the ocean.
Yeah, or fish, which are evil. I don't like fish. But, yeah, so there could be something weird up there that we just can't see because people get freaked out, or, like, the Yeti or whatever.
Well, I want to know, that man fired his revolver 3 times.
He fired it at his shadow. Yeah, well,
it's just kind of, like, strange how, like, I mean, not just this story, but, like, other ones, how many people, like, experience the same
exact thing, yeah.
And not necessarily, like you said, not necessarily that they see anything, but it's just, like, everything is, like, just, like, all the circumstances are, like, always...
exactly the same. Yeah, and it's not like this is now, I guess, too. Like, it's not like this was, I guess I don't know if these people knew each other or ran in the same circles, but, like, now, like, you could find stuff, like, super easy, like, this information to be, like, oh, I never heard of this thing before, and I still experienced it, so, like, I mean, there could be something going on up there that's, like, not even in these explanations.
Maybe he just wants a friend.
Yeah, he's like, ooh, friends, and then people are firing revolvers at him.
He's like, what the heck?
Like, I just came to say
I just wanted to give you a hug.
Yeah. But yeah, it's because, like, then there's, like, no, like, not an easy way of transferring this information necessarily. Because another thing would be, like, yeah, well, they all experience the same thing is because they're, like, really nervous when they get up there because they're scared they're going to see the gray man or whatever. But, it could be, like, the spirit. There's something up there, like treasure.
I want someone to walk towards it.
Do it. Go. You go to Scotland.
I would never do it. I'm too paranoid as it is.
To go up the mountain?
Yeah. I get halfway up and I'm like, yeah, there he is. I see him. Just
I
peer
saw him
down right now. I can see him.
Can you just look down at us, please? Please. Yeah, but I think there's no real picture of him. Like, when I looked it up, it's mostly just, like,
that
drawings.
nasty thing.
Yeah.
the weird, what's that guy's name? In the Greek mythology, what's his name? That wrote the books and things. What's his name? It starts with a D, doesn't it?
That wrote I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know either. Anyway,
that wrote the Greek mythology.
No, he didn't write the Greek mythology. He was like, it's like Greek, but he wrote like oh my God, what is it called? Read him in school. Anyway, but that looks like a weird Greek drawing of like something from that story.
Okay. Like the Odyssey and
yeah,
stuff
thank
like
you.
that?
My gosh.
Okay.
I don't remember the name of it.
I don't remember his name, but it looks like a drawing from a book like that.
Yes.
Okay.
It's a very long trail to get there, but we got there.
Yeah, I read the Odyssey too. I forgot about it though. Yeah, that's all I have. Mine was really short because there's not a lot on this gray man, but I thought it was interesting and creepy.
So I want to read more like, I guess it'd be kind of considered an urban legend, right?
Yeah, or like, this is like cryptozoology. Like the Loch Ness Monster. And
yeah. So I've always wanted to like read more of those things. But whenever I look them up, I always find the same exact things. I'm like, oh, that's boring.
Yeah.
Next week or next time, I'll have
like an interesting one. I just got an article. Well, this came from like one article when I was looking up like, I'm always like, interesting, weird mysteries or something. And this came up, it was like, this is on another list of like all these urban legends or like whatever. So... yeah, but that's all we have. Sorry, it's kind of short mine was, at least.
Yeah, but... I didn't have a lot of time to prepare this week, and so mine was kind of a mess, but, like, I mean, there wasn't that much to go off of anyway. It was just, like, the one article I found that had, like, some information about it.
Yeah, when you don't do, like, some sort of case or like historical thing, it's really hard to find stuff on it, like especially just like in urban legend, which we can really do anything, or conspiracy theory, those you can find a lot on. But then it's hard to figure out like how much time you should put into this and how long these should be, you know, like. So I feel like I don't put a lot of time into the articles, even when I do like a murder where I include more information, because it's like there's so much information and there's only so little like time I have in the week and time for this podcast.
Yeah.
So. Okay, well, that's all we have. You can like, comment, subscribe. If you want us to do a mystery or an icebreaker, you can DM us on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook message us. You can follow us on any of those as well. And then next week we are releasing our other episode. If you just like hearing little like topics and hearing us chat, I guess. It's called Topics and Tea. So you can check that out if you want to. But if not, then we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Bye.
Bye.